Hey, folks, you're very welcome back to the Meditations on Movement podcast. It has been a while since I've done one of these. Um, I feel like a lot has happened since I actually did the last episode of the podcast. It was actually last year. Uh, I have to imagine most people that listen to the podcast are probably already following on me on social media. You're probably not finding this specifically through Spotify or a podcasting platform. Um, but if you've only been listening to this on podcast, I have had a child since the last episode, which has been a bit of an event. Um, I can hear my child screaming in the background right now, so hopefully that doesn't come true for you guys. But if it does, I apologize. Um, yeah, so that has been a bit of a roller coaster of things, shall we say, the least. Um, priorities have changed, schedule has changed. It's been an incredible experience. It's been a traumatic experience. It's all of those things all at once. Um, I'll not focus on it too much because I kind of want this episode to just be a little bit short and just like bleh out there. So I'll maybe deal with that in another episode when my thoughts are a little bit more gathered about it. But yeah, it's been I feel a valid reason not to have had such a gap between podcast episodes, but hopefully you'll forgive me. But anyway, today the purpose of this episode, I tried doing one of these. The sound didn't record properly. Hopefully this mic is actually working right now. Um, but yeah, the purpose here is to just kind of reignite the engine. Do you know what I mean? Get things started back up. I kind of want to approach things a little bit differently, I guess, this time with the podcast. I think the last time, um, it's not that I won't do long episodes. It's not that I won't get a chance to discuss things in a little bit of detail, but I kind of want to condense things a little bit more. I want to be a little bit more direct, straight to the point with what I'm trying to communicate, and I feel that will help me just get out maybe a handful more over a period of time rather than being so sparse with them, because I think that's what I ran into last time. The issues that I was having with it. It became a task, and I don't want it to be necessarily a task like there's an endless list of tasks, and everything obviously is a task. But when I bring that energy into this, it becomes forced. I'm sure it's not going to be necessarily a good listening experience for you, which it probably won't be for a period of time. But you'll have to suffer through that with me. I know I'll be suffering the whole way through, but you as the listener, where am I going with this? I'm already rambling. Yeah, this is what you're going to get. But anyway, the focus of today's episode, where we're going with this. Over the last little while, my social media kind of has been the focus, and this kind of was how everything transitioned when I was having Bodhi. Not when I was having Bodhi. When we, as a couple, I didn't have him. You get what I mean. When we had our child, it kind of put a little bit of a shift in terms of what I was capable of doing, in terms of the times and everything like that. And I knew I obviously wanted to continue producing content, so I kind of put my shift in and my focus on my Instagram stuff. I was still able to do videos. I was able to write a lot more, and I've been finding it a very interesting process, especially the writing process. Instagram isn't really the best platform for it, so I guess I've been kind of experimenting a lot with my email list. I've been kind of sending and experimenting with things there. I've obviously been experimenting with social media and everything as well. So that's been where my focus has gone. What I'm hoping to really get with the podcast is a better opportunity to obviously expand on things, go into more nuance, because that's, I guess, what I'm feeling with a lot of the Instagram stuff is it's a great platform in terms of reach. It's great to be able to get ideas out there. You obviously have to condense things in a different way, but there's just so much you can go into, that you could go into potentially on an issue that you just really can't on a platform like that. And this will become, repurposable. I'm sure I'll get clips from it and I'll put them on and blah, blah, blah. But I almost want to see the social media side of things as a way of getting people onto a platform like this to be able to discuss things in more detail. So that's really the essence of what I want to do differently from last time, hopefully. The other thing I wanted to touch on today, with that being the focus, I obviously want to say thank you very much for listening, if you are. As we build up these episodes and stuff like that, I'm sure I will formulate my thoughts a little bit better. I won't say ems and ums as much as possible. I think that's what I'm noticing so much as to one of the other reasons why I want to get back into doing these episodes, because even my public speaking, like, I mean, I'm behind a laptop a lot of the time now, so I know to a degree that, not necessarily that my coaching has suffered, but I'm not talking in front of people as much. And when I initially started with this in terms of coaching, I was very, very much a one-to-one. I was doing a lot of my stuff one-to-one, so it meant I was communicating on a regular basis, and just even navigating groups a little bit more. I found recently, as I've started doing a little bit more, a few more venues and workshops and stuff like that, the ability to actually communicate to large groups, the heebie-jeebies are there. The anxiety builds up. You just don't feel as confident and comfortable. So even with this, it'll be a little bit of a task. And I guess it's maybe something to for you to consider as the listener is. I've touched on this at various stages with some of my social media content. Is I'm trying not to get too bogged down with the results. I've seen the advice being given, and I guess I'm starting to see it come to light as well myself. Is not necessarily getting bogged down with the individual results. Like on social media, you can see very much like the reach, the likes, the engagement, all those sort of things, and you can focus on those things, and you lose sight of the message that you're trying to, the purpose, the intent behind what you're doing. So with that, I try to think about it as, okay, well, what am I doing to really foster a long-term approach here to make sure that I stay the course and I'm consistent and I last in this game. It's kind of how I've approached movement over the years. You see it with people, like the same thing is present when people will start with movement. They will often go in too fast too soon. I talk about this all the time with people that I work with in person, especially when they're starting something new. They're coming in and they're excited. They're really energetic. They're really motivated, and that's great, of course. But we want to make sure that we hone that in and don't overdo it. If anything, you want to undershoot, because that way you're leaving a little bit in the tank. You're going to set yourself up just focusing on your routine, and you're going to assess each time, because you might go into it a few days and have all the energy in the world, and then Wednesday, Thursday comes around, whatever day of the week it is, and you're just wiped. And it's that all or nothing, the black or white thinking then starts to take over, and it's like, oh, I just don't want to do it, and you flip the table kind of metaphorically, and you don't want to do it anymore. So I've had to take that approach myself, because it's easy to just get caught up in something new and not really plan on staying the course, or just not being aware of those things happening. So that's how I'd been approaching the social media side of things. I was saying to myself, right, we're doing this for the long term. We're upskilling. We're accepting that we're going to look like a fool. In this, I think, getting back into the podcast, I'm going to have to accept that it's not going to feel great. It is going to be a bit like pulling teeth for me. Hopefully it's not that way for you for too long. But you can understand where I'm going with this. The message will be refined. We'll get there eventually to a point where I'm able to communicate in this format in a much better way. It's going to be a much more enjoyable experience for you. So if you are someone that sticks around and suffers with me, I really appreciate it. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, given the time of the year, if you're someone that's listening to this right now, we're kind of near the end of September. I find it's something I've been communicating to everyone in the group with the school. The school has been is an interesting thing I want to pull to from time to time as well. I think the teaching the lessons that we get from the group, because we have that the insight of others, that we're coming together as a collective to communicate on some of these ideas. I think that those will be interesting insights to give to you guys on this podcast. But the thing that I've been trying to communicate with this time of the year is it's very interesting, as the weather changes, as the evenings get a bit darker a bit sooner, at a very quick pace. You feel that change, and there's an energy that comes with that. So it's, in my mind, it's a great period to really obviously reflect over the summer. The summer is a time for, I feel anyway, it's a time for spontaneity. Things can come up on the fly that you're like, yeah, cool, I can go to that, because in Ireland anyway, the sun is still up till late past 9, 10 almost. So there's an energy that comes with that. You want to go and do stuff there. You can do things on the fly. You go to festivals, you go to events. you're just much more open to those sort of things. Whereas as the turn of the year happens at this stage, and we see ourselves kind of edging closer to Christmas, it's a nice time to obviously reflect on things, but to also get an idea of your habits, get an idea of your schedule, get an idea of the things that you want to work towards for this period of time. Because what I notice is it's very easy to push it off. The manana syndrome of, oh yeah, like I'll get to that next week. I just need to organize a few things and blah blah blah. And I know for some it can be a period of change. You might be starting something new, getting back into studies, whatever it is. It's just not to let that be pushed off for too long, because I know I can certainly, like, this is a message I almost need to hear myself, is um, because I've done it over the years, I've pushed out things, and you find the time gets away from you. I know others are probably going to be doing that as well. So in a way, use this time of year as a chance to reflect, sit down and assess what a movement practice really means to you. See what are the things in your life that you need to uh, organize and get a hold of, get to grips with, to help you navigate this time of the year. As things get darker, it's very easy to shy away from things, to hibernate, and it is necessary to some degree. It's not to resist that energy from taking hold, but it's to understand its place in your life as it takes hold. Where are you going to accept it, and where are you not going to accept it? Because you can suddenly just find yourself doing nothing, and then half of the year is almost gone, a quarter of the year, whatever way you want to think of it. So if this is something that you can take from this episode, that would be amazing. To really just consider what does a movement practice mean to you right now, at this moment in time, as you come into the close of the year, as you organize around everything, and then let it take its rightful place in your schedule, organizing yourself, orienting yourself towards some goal, whatever that is. If it's implementing something new, if it's a new practice that you want to develop, if it's a new skill that you want to go after, if it's more volume of training, a specific goal to do with the body versus a specific goal to do with a skill, whatever that is. If there's any help that I can give you, any assistance, do message me on Instagram. I'm sure we can go back and forth on a few things, and I can point you in the right direction with some resources and stuff like that. Happy to share those resources. One thing that would be very, very useful for you, if that is something of interest, it's something that I've been working on over the last little while, is something called the Movement Practice Playbook. I want this playbook to be kind of a resource for people to have over a period of time, for those that are really looking to reignite things. It's almost kind of, for a beginner, it would be a complete foundational process. You'd be introduced to a lot of these things that you've maybe never considered before as part of a movement practice. Things like meditation, writing drills, insights and lessons that I've learned that have really stalled me at certain stages. So as a result of you kind of taking those insights and me communicating them to you, you're potentially going to be able to recognize them a little bit more yourself, seeing the psyche as part of the process as well, seeing how our brain can almost get in our way. So if I'm able to give that to you now versus spinning your wheels for months on end, that's how it can help you. If you're a beginner, that's maybe how it would help you. But if you're someone who is maybe active with a movement practice, you're maybe plateauing, or you just find you need to rejig things, which is understandable. That happens at stages. That's where the movement practice playbook could be valuable for you. So some of it you might know already. Some of it you might say, yeah, cool, I understand that. But other parts of it, it might just really reignite something for you, which is what I'm hoping that it will do for those that are maybe a little bit more experienced, know what a movement practice is. But then again, for those that have never seen one before, it's going to be really, really valuable for you too. Okay, so I'll leave a link to it below the details. It's a series of emails, basically. I don't want it to just be something that you download and then never read again. So emails are going to be the way in which it's going to be delivered to you. I'll send them daily. The idea is that you would kind of sit with each email. It's not going to be too long. It's only going to ever be a 2 or 3 minute read. Excuse me. But you can sit with it, digest it, really chew on the idea or the resource. I'm sending across some tools and stuff like that as well. some practical things that you can actually try physically in your practice on top of some other tasks and drills and all that sort of stuff. That would be a really, really great thing to grab. And especially, I suppose, in line with what I was saying about this time of the year as well. Okay, so the ramblings have already begun. I'm not even sure how long this episode actually is already, but I'll leave it at that, folks. Once again, thank you very, very much. If you're someone who has listened to the podcast before, glad to be back. Hopefully, you'll be listening to more of these episodes to come. If you're a new listener, happy days. If you're randomly listening to this back after we're on episode 1044, then we stayed true to the course. All right. But cheers. Appreciate your time. I'll talk to you soon.